Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Gyanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamrutaduhe Namaha. Om. Dear friends, we are now seeing the BhagavadGeetha. We have been seeing the Karma Yoga, which is chapter 3 of Gita. And I had told you earlier that Karma Yoga is performing karma, a sort of what is called Nishkama Karma. Nishkama Karma does not mean that we have to go to an office and then work and then should not take salary, etc. We are not referring to our routine karma by which we are earning our daily bread. We are referring to the other type of karma where we have an interaction with people and where there are certain activities are prescribed. For example, a person is supposed to perform some yajna, a person is supposed to perform some rituals, and with that he is say attaining or hoping to attain some punyam, etc. So all such karmas, do it as a matter of duty, do it with Ishwararpana Buddhi, as a sort of order from the cosmic being, as an order from the Lord, that is with an intention to help the people. So with that motive in mind, you have to do your karma, not seeking the fruit of that karma. So that is what Krishna was saying. And incidentally, in the last episode, we stopped at one particular shloka which was referring to the concept of yajna. So he said, Krishna, this particular shloka is quite popular. Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. So he was saying, that is the 9th shloka of the 3rd adhyaya. Yajnarthat karmanaha. So he says, you perform your karma for the sake of yajna. Yajna here has a special meaning. Yajna, what do we mean by yajna? We see some priests who are there, who are chanting mantras, who are offering some oblations, etc., etc. And then there are half a dozen people or maybe a dozen people chanting mantras, etc. So that is what is yajna. We are not talking about in that sense alone. We are talking about in a different sense. That is, Shankaracharya gives this a special meaning for this word yajna. Again, taking from Veda only. He is not giving his own meanings. There is a statement in Veda which says Yajno vai Vishnuhu. That is the universal being. Vishnu means a universal being. So your action should be towards the say the order of the universal being. So you have to follow whatever is that cosmic order. So in this say way, in this particular say section, Lord Krishna is talking about Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantuvaha. So you nourish the gods, they nourish you. Who are these gods? So in our system, we talk about some Indra, we talk about some Varuna, we talk about Agni, etc., etc. So these are all supposed to be the gods. What exactly does it mean? It is not that somebody is sitting there in the sky with some say crown, a golden crown, and then very well decked, say his body decked with the jewels and whatnot. It is not that type of Deva. Deva refers to a cosmic function. So there are so many cosmic functions we see. So we have earlier talked about the concept of the supreme reality, which is the Brahman, what we call the Brahman, which is of the nature of pure consciousness, and that manifests as this whole universe. And in this whole universe, we have got so many types of manifestations. They are also powerful manifestations. In fact, we have seen that the initial manifestation is that of Akasha, Akasha, Vayu, Vayor, Agni, etc. First, all the 5 elements which we talk about, this Akasha, then say Vayu, then Agni, then Apaha, that is water, and then say earth, etc. All these come into being in that particular order. And then, so there is a plant kingdom, Oshadhayaha, Prithivya, Oshadhayaha. So from that plant kingdom becomes the food for the human beings, and then not only human beings, for all the living beings. Yeah, Annat Purushaha, for all the living beings, that becomes the food. So from that process, in that process, this thing has gradually evolved. We are not against the Darwin's theory of evolution. In fact, we much before Darwin thought of it, somehow the Upanishads have told it. But anyway, so this is what our concept is. So the human being or any being is a product of millions of years of evolution. So this evolution has taken place in this way, and the human being can be happy only if he follows the law of nature. So that is what here it is. Devan bhavayata. You nourish all these say cosmic forces, and then they will nourish you. So he is basically referring to, and he is also talking about evam pravartitam chakram. This is a sort of wheel. So this is a sort of cosmic wheel of dependence, a cosmic wheel of dependent action, a cosmic wheel of dependent or rather cooperative action. So this is what we see. Yajnashishtashinas santaha muchyante sarvakilbishai, he says, 13th shloka. That is, a person who performs in this, who performs his duty in this particular manner, and then he enjoys. It is not as though he is always performing duty for others and then he is not enjoying. So he is doing his duty for the benefit of the society, and then of course he is also taking part of it. So yajna shishtashinah, that is eating the remnants of that sacrifice. That is what exactly this word means. Yajna shishta ashinah. Yajna shishta means that which is remnant. Suppose a guest comes to your house. You first give food to the guest, and then whatever is remaining you are supposed to eat. That was the practice in olden days. Not now, of course. That was the practice in olden days. You have to feed the guest first, and then whatever remains we are supposed to yajna shishtam. Atithi shishtam. Shishtam is something which is remaining. So yajna shishtashinah. So after performing your duty, naturally you are also partaking it. So those people, they will be freed from all the types of sins. They are people they are not at all at fault. So that is what this this particular section says. And then Krishna again comes back to the explanation of what is called nishkama karma. Tasmad asaktas satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hyacharan karma paramapnoti purushaha, he says. That is asaktaha. Asaktaha, sangam means attachment. Sakta means one who is attached. Asakta means one who is not attached. Asaktaha satatam karyam karma samachara. Whatever is your prescribed duty. Arjuna's prescribed duty is to establish dharma, to fight for dharma. So that is his established duty. So you do not have any personal desire in that, but you perform your action. So that is what it means. Then he gives the examples. Lord Krishna gives the examples. This shloka again, this 20th shloka is a very well known shloka. He is talking about say the previous kings. We have a tradition of very great kings. For example, King Janaka, and then King Harishchandra, Shibi. If you read Ramayana, not Ramayana, Mahabharata, we have got a particular one particular part in which say Pandavas, they spend their time in the forest and they are in a very unhappy mood. So at that time several rishis and munis, they visit them. So they tell them the stories of very, very great kings who were highly virtuous kings, like Dharmaraja himself. Dharmaraja is a virtuous man, and all these virtuous kings of yesteryears, of earlier ages, so they also suffered a lot. So they tell somebody comes and tells the story of Nala Chakravarti, somebody else comes and tells the story of some Mandhata, some other rishi comes and tells the story of some other king who underwent lot many troubles. So they tell the stories of highly virtuous people who had to face problems in life. It is not as though problems in life are reserved to only some people. Problems are there for everybody. So they just come and tell Dharmaraja, okay, you please observe, stick to your dharma, because you are the embodiment of dharma. You stick to your dharma so that you can succeed. So that is what they say. So here Krishna is giving an example of the earlier kings. So this shloka I will read, this 20th shloka. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhimasthita janakadayah lokasangrahamevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. So he says karmana eva, by performing karma only, people like Janaka, samsiddhim asthita janakadayah. Janakadayah means kings like Janaka, many others. Of course, the commentators have given the list of various other kings who are supposed to be Rajarshis. Of course, we will be learning more about this particular word called Rajarshi in chapter 4. Maybe after the next episode, we will see that concept of Rajarshi. So now he is talking the example of Janaka. What is this Janaka? We know that Janaka was, we all know that Janaka is the father of Sita, and he was the king of that Mithila, and then he was supposed to be a highly learned man. To him, all sages used to come and then they used to discuss with him. They used to discuss, say, philosophy with him. He was such a great philosopher. And then, being a philosopher, he was a king. So, he was a philosopher king. What in English we find in Plato. We have got, Plato had written a book called The Republic. In that, he visualizes a society. He visualizes a society which is ruled by a philosopher king. So, most probably, say he thought of the philosopher kings of India. We do not know, because India was at that time, it was known for rulers who were great philosophers. No other country has this tradition, because the rulers were trained in all these, say, Vedanta. The rulers were trained in say, what is this, Vedas. For them, it was a part of the prescribed syllabus. So, that is how we had highly learned kings. So, here he is quoting the example of Karmanaiva hi samsiddhimasthita Janakadayah. So, kings like Janaka, they performed action. So, here we have to see one thing. King Janaka, the question is, was he merely doing this Nishkama Karma or Karma Yoga? Nishkama Karma is the same as Karma Yoga. Was he just merely doing Karma Yoga, or was he already an enlightened man and still performing duty? So, in either case, it does not matter, he is performing his duty. If Janaka was not an enlightened man and then he was in the path of knowledge, suppose, so then it was his duty to say achieve that Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi is purity of mind. So, for purity of mind, this Nishkama Karma is the main say means, because a person who is continuously doing this Nishkama Karma, his actions are purified, because he has no selfish motive. So, once his actions are purified, naturally his mind is pure. He does not have any impure say thoughts, he does not have any selfish thoughts. So, for purity of mind or Chitta Shuddhi, one is supposed to do say Nishkama Karma. Or suppose Janaka was already enlightened, even then it was his duty as a king to rule his subjects, because the moment a person is enlightened, okay, I am now a Jnani, I will now run away from society. He does not do like that. If a person is a king, if a person is an enlightened king, he is not supposed to run away from say the society. Suppose there is a sannyasi, there is a sannyasi, suppose he is in the path of Jnana and then he is enlightened. Okay, he is not bothered about the world, he does not interact with anybody. Suppose somebody goes and does some namaste, he may say some good things to him, so he may guide him, maybe that is a different thing. But a king cannot run away. So, here we have to learn this particular say point, that in our system, Jnani does not mean somebody who withdraws from society or who totally runs away from society. A Jnani can be doing, he may be doing his whatever has been the prescribed karma. So, here there is a beautiful word used by Krishna here in the second line of this same shloka. Loka sangrahamevapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. Loka sangraha. Loka sangraha is preservation of social order. For preserving the social order, we are supposed to do karma. So, that is what he says. For preserving the social order means you are doing a particular action, so that people are say people do not get into bad say paths. People are kept on the proper path. So, that is what Loka Sangraha. Unmarga Pravrutti Nivaranam, says a commentator. That is preventing people from going astray. So, that is what is Loka Sangraha, keeping the people in an orderly manner. Then the next shloka also is very famous shloka. It is about being a role model. So, he says you have to be a role model. He tells Arjuna, you have to be a role model, because you are supposed to be a hero among the Pandavas. You are the hero for all this army, for all the people who are say there in society. But if you are failing in your duty, what sort of role model you will be? So, that is what he says. Yadyad acharati shrestah tattade vetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanuvartate. Suppose there is a role model. That role model, suppose you hold somebody in high esteem. So, there is somebody whom you hold in high esteem, and that particular person, he behaves in a very, very bad manner, suppose in a very funny manner or comic manner, not only comic but mean manner, let us say. Then your esteem goes down, and then Not only that, okay, that gentleman has behaved like that, there is nothing wrong, all great people do, who am I am a small person, I can also do like that. So whatever a great person does, all other people also follow. So that is what he says, yad yada acharati shrestha. Shrestha is somebody who is in a high position. Itarojanaha, the other person, also follows that man. So that is what he says. And then sa yat pramanam kurute, whatever standards that that great man sets up, the other people also try to raise themselves to that standard. Lokastad anuvartate. People try to raise themselves to that particular level. And then Krishna says, look at me, I am myself, I am doing so much of action. Though I am myself an avatara, and I have nothing to do, I have nothing to gain. And then he says, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. That is, I have nothing to gain because Lord Krishna is the very avatara, and he being an avatara, he has nothing to gain or lose. But then it is his duty to, as an avatara, it is his duty to maintain order in society, see that the evil is crushed, the good is supported. So that is what it means. So it means that good people are also supposed to do action. In fact, I am reminded of a poem, English poem by an English poet called William Butler Yeats. There is one Irish poet rather. He writes a few lines about these people, educated people or wise people who are inactive. If wise people are inactive, what is it? What is it that they are doing? They are doing a disservice to society. So he says, now we are in such a situation where wise people are inactive, and then the rogues, they are in full enthusiasm and full fervor. He says, the best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. So those words he uses, full of passionate intensity. So that is, all the rogues are highly emotional or highly forcefully going about and trying to do things in their own way, and all the wise people, they are just watching. So this particular point is discussed in Gita, in Bharatam several times. This particular aspect, that a wise person, a person who is capable of doing something but still doesn't do. So if he doesn't do, the whole system collapses, and even that wise man also collapses in the whole process. It is not as though he will survive. In fact, we are all reminded of that particular portion in the same Mahabharata, because Mahabharata is such a huge thing which gives so many examples for explaining everything. So for example, this Draupadi was disrobed, or Dushasana tried to disrobe her in the court of say Duryodhana. All the people were watching, all wise people, capable people were watching. Bhishma, Drona, Krupa, all the people who were wise, who were powerful, great warriors, etc. They were all elders who were supposed to guide this man. So they were all watching. So then, after that episode was over, Lord Krishna, when he comes back as a messenger, to the Pandavas, he refers to that incident. You were all wise people. On that day, this particular Dushasana was trying to disrobe this lady, and you were all watching. So at that time he says, we have got a beautiful poem in Telugu also. Sarapu dharmamun vimala satyamu papamucheta bonkuche paramu bandaleka chadabarinadaina yavastha dakshul evvaralu upeksha jesiradi varala chetagu. It says, dakshul evvaralu upeksha jesiri. Daksha means somebody who is capable. Sanskrit shlokas are also very beautiful. Yatra dharmo hyadharmena satyam yatra anrutena cha hanyate prekshamananam hatastatra sabhasadah. He says, yatra dharmo hyadharmena, when dharma is being assailed by adharma and truth is being assailed by untruth, the people who are watching, they also will collapse, because the whole system collapses. So that is what it is. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. And then he says, if I do not do this, if I do not guide the society properly, yadi hyaham navarteyam jatu karmanya atandritaha, without any sort of laziness. Tandra means laziness. Tandritaha means lazy, feeling rather tired. Atandritaha means untiringly. A wise man, he should not only do work, he should do work in an untiring way. One should not be tiresome. So that's what he says. Atandritaha. Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvasha. People will do like that. People will follow me. People will also be lazy. Then this is another shloka which says, this particular shloka, 25th shloka, which Shrungeri Swamiji, with this Vidya Shankar, that Bharati Tirtha Swamiji, he is very fond of this shloka, he quotes quite often. This is 25th shloka. Saktah karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvans tatha asaktah chikirshur lokasangraham. So he compares a wise man and an ordinary man. So an ordinary man, having say interest in the fruit of his action, he does things in a very enthusiastic way. Well, I am going to get this, I am getting this punyam, I am going to achieve this loka, I am doing this particular yajna, etc., etc. And a learned man, a wise man, he also performs karma. He should not be in a rather lazy way. Anyway, I am not asking for karma, why should I be enthusiastic? He should not be like that. He should perform in a greater enthusiasm. He says, Saktah karmani avidvamsaha. Avidvamsaha means an unlearned man, just as he performs with a lot of enthusiasm. The wise man should perform his job with greater enthusiasm, though he is unattached to the fruit of that work. So that is what this says. Vidvans tatha asaktaha, for what? Chikirshuhu lokasangraham. Again he is using the word lokasangraha for the second time. That is for maintaining the social order, for maintaining the social say morality. Because the society is supposed to guide people. Society has to give some moral direction to people. If society doesn't, society means who? The good people in the society, the educated people in the society, they are supposed to give some moral direction to the people. If they fail to give moral direction, then who else will give? There will be a system of collapse. So that is what we will see. Then we can also see the examples of, for example, Sage Vyasa. Sage Vyasa himself, he was a great, he was a highly learned man, he classified Vedas and he wrote some books like, after classifying Vedas, he wrote some Brahma Sutras, he wrote Mahabharatam, etc., etc. Even then, it seems he was not very, he was not having a peace of mind. At that time, Narada goes to him and then sees him. Oh, you are such a great man, why are you feeling sad? You have done such great things. Then Narada diagnoses his problem. He himself diagnoses his problem. You have done so many things, but still you have not explained the greatness of say Bhagavanta, the greatness of the God. That is how God say comes to the rescue of people. That is Bhagavata Leela. That is what he says. So those things you have to describe, and then only then your mind will feel happy. You have to guide people. You have done you have written a lot of theory. All these things theoretically you have done. But practically you are also supposed to guide people. For an ordinary man, it is the bhakti which is captivating. It is the bhakti which leads him. So that is what he says. So now you write this say Bhagavad Leela, that is you describe the glory of God. So then say Vyasa takes upon himself to write the book called Mahabhagavatam. So that is what we see. So Vyasa did like that. And for example, Shankaracharya, he was a person born in Kerala. Somewhere in Kerala, he learnt, studied all these things. He went to Govinda Bhagavatpada and all those people. Fine, he studied, and then he could have written some commentaries and kept quiet. But then he moved all over the country. In those days, either you have to go by walk, or maybe we do not know whether he went on horseback, because many of our people, rishis, etc., they also used to travel on horses, mules, etc. So he went all around, and then he discussed, he debated, had debates with so many scholars, and then established his pitams. So he established a particular doctrine. So all this he did. So like that, these people who, though they were enlightened people, they were not lazy. They were always highly enthusiastic. They worked in an untiring way. Atandritaha. So it's a beautiful word. Then Krishna tells another, gives a wonderful instruction. He says, okay, you may be a wise man, but don't go on finding fault with people, because there are people at different levels. Of course, we will not again ask why Shankaracharya went and debated. Shankaracharya did not go and debate with an ordinary man. He did not find fault with all these ordinary people. He debated with great scholars. He debated with great scholars who had some rival theories. So that is at a highly theoretical level, doctrinal level. So now we are talking about an ordinary man. Suppose he is performing some small, he is worshipping the village deity. Suppose in every village we have got Grama Devata, as we say. So he is worshipping a village deity, or he is worshipping some other deity. So one should not go and say, no, no, you are not supposed to do this, this is all rubbish, this is not wrong, this is totally wrong, etc., etc. We are not supposed to confuse them. So that is what Krishna says here in this 26th shloka. This is one shloka which is a beautiful shloka, because it explains the principle of tolerance which is there in our system. So this I'll continue in the next episode, because this requires a little bit of explanation. Thank you. Om Tat Sat.